Welcome to the Soulful Success by Design podcast. I'm Kendra Woods, your host, and a former corporate healthcare executive turned entrepreneur. After battling burnout, I discovered the magic of human design. As a 6'2" splenic projector, I am here to lead you on a journey of self-discovery, self-mastery, and unstoppable growth. So join me as we dive into the world of human design, mindset, energetics, and aligned success. We will talk about the highs and the lows of creating soulful and meaningful success in your life and business on your terms. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Soulful Success by Design podcast. I am your host, Kendra Woods, and I want to welcome you to a brand new year. Happy New Year to all of you. At the time of this recording, it is January 3rd, 2024, and we are at the very beginning of a brand new year. Exciting, full of hopes, full of dreams, full of all types of possibilities. And this is a time when a lot of us are very much contemplative, right? We're in that contemplative energy. We're in that reflective energy as we are thinking about how the previous year, 2023, went for us and how we want to show up and be in 2024. And so today on the show, we're taking a bit of a detour away from our usual conversation about human design. And today I want to just recap the year with you, right? I want to share with you some of my most powerful lessons, insights, and experiences with the intention of inspiring you to contemplate your own journey, with the intention of offering up some questions to you to consider as you are maybe in the midst of still kind of planning and really thinking about how you want to move forward with this year. So I've broken this down into 3 sections. And so I want to share with you some personal insights and lessons from my own, like my personal side of things, personal reflections. And then I'm going to share with you some human design alignment insights and reflections that have come up for me as I've been on my own alignment journey through human design. And then last, I'm going to share with you my business evolution reflections, right? We're going to talk about business a little bit, some things that happened in my business, what I learned, and questions that you can consider and reflect on as you're moving through your planning for this year of your business. All right, so let's dive right in. So first I want to talk about some personal reflections. So to kind of give you some context, I got to give you a backstory on this a little bit. So in 2021, I experienced a huge burnout that led to like these physical manifestations in my body. So I was just burnt out to a crisp, and my body was giving me signs that I needed to slow down, right? I started having back issues again. I was in the hospitalized twice. I was experiencing like extreme, what do you call it? Inflammation, right? My face was swelling up, my lips were swelling, like things were just happening in my body, trying to get my attention to slow down. And so last year in 2023, I was still kind of on my healing journey, right? Because in that year of 2021, experienced burnout. In 2022, I began working with a functional medicine practitioner. I began, working with my regular doctor, doing things on my own here at home with different, remedies and food and nutrition and supplements and things like that to help me get myself, back to where I needed to be. And so starting 2023 last year, I was beginning to feel like myself again, right? I was on the other side of that mountain, of that place called burnout. And I wanted to start the year with really building back my endurance and strength in my body. And so on January 2nd of last year, I decided that I was going to do the 75 hard challenge with a group of colleagues and friends. And for me, this really set the tone for my year last year. Now, what going through burnout taught me was that I was no longer available to sacrifice my health, be it my physical health, emotional health, mental health for entrepreneurship, right? It's really, really easy as an entrepreneur to get stuck in that position of just going, 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 right? Because your business and being an entrepreneur requires so much of you. And as a projector, especially as I am in human design, it can be easy to get stuck in that on position, right? And you can forget to really take care of your body. And you're not consciously forgetting. It's just that your energy is in so many different places and you're trying to do so many different things that you are not putting conscious attention on your well-being because you're striving towards this goal, right? So I'd heard about the 75 hard challenge before, but I didn't think it was something that was for me, right? I always saw that as something that like, oh, that is too hard. There's no way I could ever do that. And looking back, I'm sure I felt that way because I was in that phase of burnout, right? Like I couldn't consider anything else. But anyways, starting in 2023, I thought, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to do this. And if you're not familiar with the 75 Hard Challenge, it is a challenge that was created by this man. And I apologize, I do not know his name, but if you Google 75 Hard, it'll pull him up. But anyways, so the key components of 75 Hard is that it's a mental challenge. It's not so much about trying to lose weight or, look a certain way. It's more of a mental challenge. And so what you do is every single day for 75 days, you drink 1 gallon of water a day. You exercise 2 times a day for 45 minutes with one workout is required to be outside. So out of the 2 workouts, one of them has to be outside. And you are outside, whether it is cold, hot, raining, not raining, whether it's snowing, you got to get the workout in, right? So there's 2 of those a day, one outside, the other you can do inside or outside. And then you have to read 10 pages of a personal development book. You take a personal, like a progress picture each day. And then you have a lifestyle, an eating lifestyle that you follow. There is no specific diet per se. This is simply about you finding a way of eating that feels good for you, right? You could do keto, you could do paleo, you could go vegetarian if you want to, like whatever it is, but something that is healthy and that's giving your body the nutrition that you need. And so for me, I decided to follow, just making sure I ate as clean as possible, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. I did no gluten, no dairy or sugar. Okay. And so those are kind of the key components. And you do that every single day for 75 days. And the thing is if you miss any one of those along your path, if you miss any one of those key items, you have to start all over again, right? So going into that, I was already like, no, I am making sure I hit everything because I am not starting over again. But the thing that when you're someone who has experienced burnout, you become super vigilant, almost to a fault, when you are approached with something that seems like it might throw you back into burnout or exhaustion, right? That you just escaped from. So I was very aware that while I wanted to move forward with this, there was also that part of me that was a little hesitant because I honestly was a little scared, like, oh, what if this throws me back into burnout again? And I think that if you're someone that's experienced burnout, that can be a hindrance to actually moving yourself forward. You can be so afraid that you're going to fall back into burnout that you don't actually operate in your full potential, right? That may be a conversation for another episode, but just wanted to share that. However, I decided to go for it, right? And some of the things that I learned is that outward success comes from doing the things behind the scenes that no one sees, okay? Now, this was a personal lesson for me, but it is the same thing in your business and your relationships. We have access to so much information today. We can see people's lives today, like highlights, I should say, of people's lives today. And we see these success stories, but what we don't see is all the stuff that happens behind the scenes. We don't see the day after day after day after day repetition of certain habits and actions and work that's being done, right? So outward success, it comes from doing the things behind the scenes. So if you're somebody who, you want that success, you want to be able to share it with others. It's not about focusing on that. It's about focusing on, okay, what do I need to be doing when no one's looking that is going to help me move myself forward, right? And that to me is about that's really, you're really in integrity with yourself. When you are saying, here's who I want to be, here's how I want to show up, and then you are doing the work behind the scenes in alignment with who you say you want to be, that is integrity. All right. So it really helped me to strengthen my own personal integrity. Okay. I've learned like during that time that it comes from I had an internal motivation and a desire that was bigger than my discomfort. So anytime you're experiencing change or wanting to do something different, whether you wanted to change yourself or change the way you think or do something different in business or whatever it is, whatever change that you're wanting to do, change comes with challenge, right? It comes with discomfort. It's a part of the journey. And so as I was moving through the 75 hard challenge, I began to just get really comfortable with the discomfort because there were times where it was not convenient, right? There were times where I was traveling last year and I had to get up at crazy hours in the morning to get my first workout in outside before I hopped in the car for a road trip or before I hopped on a plane to go fly somewhere, right? There were times where I was in certain areas where it was snowing outside and it was cold and it was inconvenient. It was not comfortable. But because my desire to step into the woman that I wanted to become was bigger than the discomfort, I move forward. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And you've got to be willing to keep going when there's no validation. And now, again, I'm on my personal piece here, but I feel like this applies to business too, right? Because there's so many of you out there like coaches, consultants, you have an online business and you're putting yourself out there and maybe you're getting frustrated or you're feeling bitter or you're feeling angry because you're not seeing the results that you want, right? No one's validating, what you're doing. No one's saying to you, hey, like, good job, you did that, right? So you still have to keep going though. And you've got to become your own sense of validation. Okay. Every single step, the last thing here that I'll share with you around this is that every single step that you take towards your goal matters. Everything that you do towards your goal or your vision matters. Every single thing, the small things, the big things, it all matters. Okay. And why? The compound effect, right? The compound effect is like this superpower that's hidden inside of your everyday actions. It's about small, consistent steps that add up to create big results. Okay. It's like if you imagine like a snowball rolling downhill, it starts small, but then as it keeps rolling, it gets bigger and bigger, right? So when you are taking those small positive actions, like maybe you're reading a little bit every day, or maybe you're exercising regularly every day, or maybe you're saving a little money every pay period or once a month or every 2 weeks. These actions may not seem like that much at first. You're like, oh, like that's nothing. But over time, they build up and create a significant impact, right? Just like drops of water into a bucket, each action adds up until you begin to see remarkable like progress towards your goals. Okay. It's the power of consistency and persistence that works quietly behind the scenes in order to make big things happen. So think about that as you're taking the steps in your business and your life. And maybe the steps seem so mundane, but you know what? It's all adding up and it will add up to an amazing impact. So questions for you to consider. Number one, what behind the scenes actions are you neglecting that could contribute to your success? Another question to consider is, how do you handle situations when there's no external validation or recognition for your efforts? How are you handling that? Who are you being when you're not getting the validation, when you're not getting the recognition for your actions? And the last question that I would have you to reflect on is how are you underestimating the impact of small, consistent steps towards your goal? So how can you harness this idea of the compound effect in your life? How can you do that? Okay. So the takeaway here that I want to share with you around just this personal kind of recap is on your journey towards success, Your health is your wealth. It really is. Prioritizing how you care for yourself ultimately leads to fulfilling successes in all areas of your life. So if you are, you're an ambitious woman, you're an entrepreneur, you have this vision, you have these goals, and that is great. But none of that matters if you do not have strength in your body, health in your body, vitality in your body. None of it matters, right? Because you won't be able to show up for it. So while it seems counterintuitive because we live in a world that really rewards like production and effort and all these things, it may seem counterintuitive, but really prioritizing your health and well-being has to be a must. So that is something for me that it's top of the line, number one, right? Making sure that I am um, uh, providing myself with the right nutrition, making sure that I am well hydrated every single day, making sure I'm getting my rest every single day, making sure I'm moving my body every single day and doing things to pour into me, right? Going to get a massage like once a month. I go to the float spa once a month. Those are things that really help me to give back to myself and fuel myself, because you have to treat yourself almost like an Olympic athlete when you are out here building a business, right? You can't build the business if the source, meaning you, is depleted and run down. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about some human design lessons that came up for me. So one of the things that I noticed is I had to reframe my thinking that because I'm a projector, I don't have the energy to fulfill all the things. Right. And now, if you're a projector, you're probably shaking your head right now, right? So you learn you're a projector, you recognize you don't have a defined sacral, which means you don't have this sustainable energy. And so you are not here to just be going and going and going and going and going all the time, right? Like that is not, you cannot sustain that. Your energy, like you have an amount of energy each day and that's what you have, right? And then you go to bed and you get some good rest and then you wake up the next day. You're not like a generator where you're generating this energy throughout the day. So you have to be super particular about how you are using your energy every single day as a projector. But what I have found is that people hear they're a projector and your mind immediately goes, oh well, I can't go big like this person, right? Or I can't do what that person's doing, or there's no way I can do that. Like you immediately start discounting yourself because you learn that you don't have sustainable energy. We've got to reframe that, right? And that is something that I'm always working on for myself, as well as like reframing that, like, no, I have energy. I have energy as a projector. What that means is that what I do is probably, not probably, it is going to look different than how it looks for a generator or a manifesting generator. It's going to look different, right? The way that I approach my day, the way I approach my business is going to look different. It has to look different. And so what that means is that the focus then becomes on how can I use my energy in the most efficient way possible. You got to be efficient, which requires you to be really focused as a projector. And that is where the beauty of our energy comes alive as a projector, when we are prioritizing our energy, the quality of our energy, and we are using our energy in the most efficient way possible. So it's really about being strategic with how you use your energy, because you'd be surprised. Sometimes, people think, well, oh, you have generators and manifest generators and they have all this energy and they can do all the things. But you can take a misaligned generator or manifesting generator and put them next to an aligned projector. And that aligned projector is getting things done, right? Whereas the generator or the MG that's misaligned, they're over here feeling groggy and tired and not focused and they don't know what's going on, right? So it's all about quality of energy. Okay. So some of the things that I really leaned into last year within my own human design is really contemplating and reflecting on my sun gate. My sun gate is gate 21, called the Huntress. And I really leaned into looking at what this meant for me personally and in my brand. Your conscious sun gate in human design is like 70% of your personality. It is what people feel from you when they are in your space. It is what you are putting out into the world, shining out into the world. And it's not something that you have to try to do. It just is, right? It just is. And so it's also a part of the energy of your brand. And so I spent some time really, really leaning in and reflecting on gate 21, right? This energy of gate 21, it's off the will center. It can be really controlling. Okay. And so I got to learn how to lean into the energy of being an authority versus trying to control every single thing. So instead of focusing, um, I had to focus on who I wanted to be as I was moving through life, right? And focusing on what I can control. So the shadow frequency of gate 21 is control, right? It's that control freak. Everything has to be a certain way, like you're white knuckling everything and you just want to have this control. The gift expression of this energy is being an authority. And what that means is really, for me, what that looks like is controlling what I can control. So that means being an authority over my thoughts, my actions, my behavior, my perspective, my mindset, right? Being an authority over my life and business. So taking responsibility for what I can control. Okay. And so that was one side of it. And then the other side of it, as I'm looking at, okay, how does this show up in my brand? Then it was like looking at how can I support my audience in taking control of their lives and their businesses? How can I help them become the authority over their mind, their actions, their behaviors, right? And so I talk about alignment all the time. And that is my gate 21 showing up on my brand, right? So your sun gate energy, again, it's something that you naturally express, but you need to be aware of it and then decide to operate in the high frequency of that energy and then consciously infusing that energy into the work that you do. So go get your chart, look at what your sun gate is, go do some research on what that gate means, what it's about, what the name of it is, and then sit and like contemplate, what does that mean for you? How does that look for you? How can you infuse it in your personal life? And how can you allow that to be something that oozes from your brand? Another thing that I did was, I contemplated my defined centers and my one channel. I have one channel that goes from the root to the spleen. So I contemplated my defined centers, which are my root and my spleen center. And then I also really leaned in and contemplated my channel that I have. I have the channel of transformation. These are areas of strength for me. And so I know can constantly, that energy is always there for me. So I can look at how I can leverage those energies, right? Um, Understanding the mechanics of how the root works and how the spleen works, and not just the mechanics, but then putting that knowledge into practice. That's how you leverage your energy, right? It's one thing to know it, but then you got to actually start living it. Okay. And so that was something that I really leaned into last year a lot, and also in trusting my authority. So I'm a splenic authority, right? And so I get these like intuitive hits in the moment, but it was understanding how to regulate those splenic hits with my root center, right? And that's a nuance, right? So I would example like get a splenic hit to do something, but then I would tap into my root center for the timing aspect of it. Because just because I got the hit to do something, it didn't mean the timing was right now in this moment. It's a hit that I get, and I'm like, yes, that's what we get to go do. And because that the root center is providing fuel to my spleen, I'm then looking at that and going, oh, okay, is now the right time for me to do that? Right? Is it right now? Yes, awesome. Let's go. If it's not, that's okay. Let me tap into what that timing might look like and where I might go with that. But the ultimate piece is trusting my authority. Okay. So understanding your design, it really helps you to become strategic about how you move through life and business instead of just taking in the knowledge. What I find is that so many people like take in all this knowledge about human design, and that part of you that loves to learn is soaking it all up, but then you're not doing anything with it. So when you can sit and contemplate your own design, bring out your chart, get all your books and things that you have and really contemplate it, then you can begin to leverage it, take it to the next level, and use it in your life so that you can begin to see change. And so I also spent some time contemplating the openness in my chart, right? Especially my open head, my undefined head, undefined will center, and my undefined sacral. Those are 3 areas for me that I really knew that I needed to pay some good attention to and do some deconditioning work around and do some contemplating around so that I wasn't operating from that conditioning, but operating instead from my alignment. All right. So questions for you to consider about your human design as I'm sharing this reflection with you is like, what limiting like beliefs or preconceptions do you hold about your capabilities or energy levels that are hindering your progress? Okay. What beliefs or preconceptions do you hold about your capabilities or your levels of energy that might be hindering your progress? Another question to consider is, what innate strengths or energies do you possess? And how can you consciously leverage them? So look at your chart. Your strengths are the areas where you are defined. Your strengths are your channels. How can you begin to consciously leverage those? Okay. And then another question for you to consider, the last one here is, do you trust your authority? Do you trust your authority in your decision making? Right. And looking at, and just, whether it's yes or no, if it's a yes, why is that? What does that look like? If it's no, why not? Right? What are the fears? What are the beliefs that are not allowing you to trust your authority? Okay. So the takeaway here is that if you really desire to align your business and life with your human design, you need to create time to sit down with your chart, study it, and ask yourself questions such as the ones that I just shared with you. Right? Because doing this allows you to consciously live your design and leverage your design versus just operating from your conditioning, operating from autopilot. Okay. Okay. Last but not least, let me share with you some business updates, some lessons, some takeaways, all the good stuff. So last year in 2023, we had a brand shift last year. So we started the year as the Prosperous Projector. That was the brand, right? So everything that I did was tailored towards projectors. All my content, courses I created, everything was aligned with projectors in human design. In June of last year, I shifted back to Soulful Success by Design. Now, I learned a lot from that, right? And I'll share what some of that is with you here in a moment. But as I look back on it, right, I'm like, oh, okay, like I see what I get to learn from that because it's always been Soulful Success by Design. In 2020, when I integrated human design into my business, that is when I went from a personal brand to Soulful Success by Design. And what I want to share with you before I get into this deeper is that, never be afraid to follow what feels right in the moment, whether it works out or not, right? Because you'll have so much to reflect on in hindsight. So for me, the Prosperous Projector brand wasn't for me. Wasn't the right move. At the time, felt right, and I did it. And so I could sit and look at that as, oh my gosh, I wasted so much time. What a mistake. That's horrible. Or I could look at that and go, what did I learn? Right? What was great about it? How do I get to, use this experience to my good? How has this worked for me? So don't be afraid. I feel like a lot of times, a lot of us hold back and what you really want to do because you're worried it won't work out. You think it's going to fail. And so you don't even give yourself a chance. Right. And so when we do that, what we're doing is we're playing to fail instead of playing to win. When you are stuck in perfectionism, when you are stuck in that fear that it might not work or constantly doubting yourself. And so because of that, your ideas are stalling, you're not taking action. What happens is that you're playing to fail. You play to win by focusing on progress over perfection. You play to win by putting the idea out there and seeing, what feedback you get and moving from there. Because until you put something out there in the world, you have nothing to go off of, no data, no insights, no nothing to go off of to help you know what your next move is, right? So I also recognized in this time that I have a tendency to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. And you may resonate with this, right? At the time I had a Facebook group, the Prosperous Protector group, and I closed that down, removed all the members, closed it down, done. Right. A great example of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. When I decided to, go back to Soulful Success by Design, what would have been a great move is for me to keep that group, change the name, and invite all the other energy types into the group, right? But I didn't. But in doing that, it helped me to get really clear and see one of my tendencies of, again, throwing out the baby with the bathwater kind of thing. And so I'm sure you heard that saying, but what that is saying is that, you're getting rid of something good and valuable while getting rid of the thing that you don't want. Okay. So it's really about really being careful not to discard something important while trying to fix a problem or a challenge. And so it's a warning to be cautious and not to overlook the good things while you are getting rid of the things that you don't desire. Okay. So shifted back to Soulful Success by Design. And I have a better and more open and more clear perspective of how to lead this brand now because of that decision that I made last year. Okay. And I'm very clear on our mission, right? Soulful Success by Design is here to empower remarkable women to embrace their unique essence, allowing you to amplify impact, income, and influence with unwavering authenticity and personal power through the lens of human design. It's so clear, right? But that clarity would not have come if I did not, do the rebrand and then change it back. I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to sit and reflect on this. So I'm excited, really, really excited for what is to come this year inside of the Soulful Success by Design brand. You're going to see later this year, we have a human design school that's going to be coming out to teach you all the things human design for those of you who want to infuse this into your current business, for those of you who want to, know this information for yourself, but also be able to help your clients with it. Fresh master classes coming out, private coaching opportunities, including more VIP offers. I did some VIP work last year and absolutely loved it. So we'll definitely be doing more of that. Refining our message and online presence, right? Really leading with high value, connection, building trust, and community building. There'll be new courses and programs that are type specific, right? Helping each human design frequency like bring their power to life. And there's a focus on quality over quantity. And I want to talk about this for a moment because in the coaching industry, right, it is applauded. Quantity is applauded, right? But the thing is that there's key elements missing. And when we are so focused on output, performance, we're not using energy efficiently. Okay. So the lesson that I pulled from this too, just reflecting on my own business, is really bringing the energy of working smarter, not harder into 2024. Okay. And this means like finding ways to achieve my goals more efficiently, using intelligence and strategy instead of putting in more effort. Okay. And now this may feel counterintuitive, again, because we are conditioned to operate from the belief that more effort means higher output or more performance, right? But that's not the case, because here's the thing, like you could have, like, I'll give you an example. You can have, like, imagine two students, right, preparing for a final exam. One student studies for hours without a plan, just reading and rereading the textbook. Okay. The other student, however, creates a study schedule, right? Focuses on key concepts, uses flashcards, and practices like the past exam questions. So even though the second student might not have spent as much time studying, they are working smarter by using effective methods, right? So making their studying time more productive and likely leading to more results. And so that is the energy that I'm bringing into the business this year. And I want to inspire you to do the same thing. A couple of books that I read really impacted me, right? The 12-week year methodology. I am infusing that into the business this year. I'm also infusing some core concepts from the book 10X is Easier Than 2X into the business this year. And that's where that in that book, 10x is easier than 2x. There's a lot of conversation around quality versus quantity. And so I'm excited to bring that forth, right? So here are some questions for you to consider as you're reflecting on your business. Are there aspects of your business that you're considering changing or improving? And if so, how can you ensure you're making the necessary adjustments without losing valuable elements that are working well, right? So are there aspects of your business that you're considering changing or improving? And if there are, how can you ensure that you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? How can you be deliberate about avoiding that? Keeping the key pieces that are really, really good and just letting go of the rest. Another question that you can sit and contemplate is really contemplating and considering the concept of working harder, not smarter. Can you think of instances in your work where applying this approach could have led to better outcomes or efficiencies? If so, how can you apply that to your business this year? Right. And then last, really think about a time like where you've maybe made some significant changes in your business or maybe significant changes in your life, right? Like how I shared earlier with my rebrand. And to later realize that it may not have been the best move. How did you handle it? Did you beat yourself up about it? Did you get the dumps about it? Did you feel discouraged? Or did you learn from that situation? And there's no right or wrong answer here, right? But it's just for you to become aware of it so you can then decide how you're going to consciously move forward, right? So the takeaway that I want to share with you here around this particular section of reflection on the business piece is there are never mistakes, right? There is simply data that you get to consider from the moves you make in business to help you refine your processes and goals, okay? Improvement doesn't require you to get rid of everything, right? Look at what's working, get rid of what is not working, and choose to work smarter and more strategically and intellectually this year. Those are like golden takeaways that I hope support you. All right. So my hope is that through listening to some of my reflections from 2023, you will feel inspired to take some time of your own to do some reflection as we are into the start of this new year, right? What does it look like for you? Contemplate. We don't spend enough time, I don't think, really sitting down and thinking and contemplating. Right? Because everything that you desire, everything you need is inside of you. But if we're not spending the time to allow what's inside of us to come out, to think about it, to contemplate, to mull over it, then we're missing a big opportunity. Okay. So I cannot wait to share more about human design, mindset, energetics, and aligned success with you this year here on the podcast. I welcome your feedback. I welcome your questions. What did you love about this conversation today? What would you like to hear more of? Message me over on Instagram. You can find me at Soulful Success by Design. Get into my DMs, ask me your questions. I'd love to answer them. I will put links here in the show notes because I want to encourage you, if you've never had a human design reading, book your human design reading. Now is a great time of year to do that, to gain a deeper understanding of your unique human design, how you can work with your design, how you can leverage your design as you are planning different aspects of your life and business. I'll also leave the link where you can pull your human design chart. If you don't have one, I'll leave the link for where you can go and pull that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Connect with me over on IG. And I want to also ask you, like, leave us a review. Leave us a review. We've gotten so many beautiful reviews. I love it. If you would leave us a review over on Spotify or on Apple Podcast, leave us a review, share the love. It really helps the podcast as well, get shown to more people. So much thanks in advance if you feel called to do that. So thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode where we'll dive into more human design elements. So this is Kendra with Soulful Success by Design. Go out there and create success from your soul on your terms. Until next time.